This video is sponsored by JetBrains. Let's make a browser game. So recently JetBrains made an announcement that Webstorm, an IDE for JavaScript and TypeScript, along with Rider, an IDE for .NET and game development, are now free for non-commercial use. Which means that if you're a student, or a hobby programmer, or a content creator like me, you can use these products for free. And today I'm gonna be doing just that and make this dinosaur game using Webstorm. Now I'm not an expert when it comes to browser games, but I did work on JavaScript back in 2012. That was 12 years ago. We start off by writing our index.html file. It's not gonna do much except include our stylesheet file, our JavaScript file, and change the title. And our CSS file will put everything in the center. And look at that! We created our first website. Let's make it even cooler and print stuff in JavaScript as well. Look at that. So beautiful. The next thing I did is I defined the game canvas and the context. This reminds me of OpenGL, where I also didn't understand anything but kept going anyway. I also converted my C++ game loop to JavaScript. One thing that surprised me is that Webstorm is working quite fast. Maybe this is not relevant to you, but for someone who has an ancient PC, this is a rare thing these days. Speaking of ancient, let's add our dinosaur to the game. I'll be honest with you, I don't like how Google Dinosaur looks. It's too cute. And dinosaurs, especially T-Rexes, aren't supposed to be cute. They're supposed to be terrifying monsters that will destroy everything in their path. Anyway, for our dinosaur, we're gonna create a class. Drawing an image in JavaScript has to be the easiest thing you can do. It's just create image, load image, and draw image. That's it. By the way, in C++ I would draw everything on the screen and resize it using the view. I couldn't figure out how to do it in JavaScript, so I'm just gonna resize every image instead. Now that we have our scary dinosaur, let's animate it. I am so proud of this animation. Animating is pretty straightforward. We're just gonna draw the certain part of our sprite sheet based on the current frame. There we go. Now to make sure our game is realistic, let's add the ground. It's gonna have its own class because we need to move it. To create the illusion of our ground being infinite, we're gonna teleport it back when it reaches a certain point. Alright, now we can work on the controls. Reading inputs in JavaScript was surprisingly complicated. First we need to add functions for key up and key down events. And these functions aren't regular functions. Instead they have this weird equal sign and an arrow. Then we use the switch statement to find out which key was pressed and change the corresponding variable. Since we're adding more controls, I drew sprites for jumping, landing, and ducking. For ducking we're gonna set the duck variable to 1. For jumping we're gonna change the vertical speed. We're also gonna use the jump timer to make the dino jump higher the longer we press the jump button. And to make sure the dino doesn't fly off into space, we're gonna add gravity. Now we can jump, jump higher, and duck. It's time for our T-Rex to have a challenging enemy, something that can kill it with ease. You mean like an asteroid? A cactus! The cactus can either be big or small. For now it's gonna behave like the ground. Alright, the cactus is here. Let's generate more cacti by creating a separate class for that. And yes, the plural form of the word cactus is cacti, just so you know. Saying cactuses is also grammatically correct. Why do you have to ruin everything? To generate cacti, we're gonna set up a timer. Once that timer is up, we're gonna restart it and generate a random number of cacti with different sizes. At first glance everything is working fine. Until this happens. I just forgot to remove this thing. There we go. Keep in mind that we're not deleting the cacti when they leave the screen. So our cacti array is getting bigger and bigger. Just like your mom. To fix that we're gonna use the filter method that will filter out the elements based on the given condition. And now it's working. We worked so hard to add these cacti, but our dinosaur doesn't care and just walks through them. Let's fix that by adding the collision checking. We're just gonna check to see if two rectangles are intersecting each other. But even with this change, our dinosaur still doesn't care. I spent hours trying to figure out why it wasn't working. You know what the problem was? I wrote in instead of off. In my defense, Webstorm looks a lot like PyCharm, so I got confused. Let's see if it works. It does. Let's see if it works again. It doesn't. Obviously it's because our hitboxes are too big, so I reduced them by half. This results in our dinosaur clearly touching the cactus without dying. I think it's a fair compromise. It's not like anyone's gonna speedrun this game. Now to make ducking actually useful, we're gonna add pterodactyls. I am so good at this. I don't want to spell pterodactyl every 5 seconds, so I'm just gonna call it a bird. Everything else is pretty much similar to the cactus class. When checking the collision between the dinosaur and the bird, if the dinosaur is ducking, we're gonna move down his hitbox. You have no idea how long it took me to make this work. And all of that just for this. At least we can land quickly if we want to. The last thing we need to add is the scoring. We're just gonna increase it by 1 every frame and update the high score if it's lower. We're gonna use this image to display our score. This function will separate our score into digits. Then it'll multiply each digit by the font size to get the position of the digit sprite. I jumped like 3 times and I already scored 1000 points. I'm too lazy to come up with a smart solution for this, so I'm just gonna divide the score by 4 and floor it. But I'm not lazy to draw this background to make the game look better. And the game is finally finished. This was certainly an interesting challenge for me. And using Webstorm has been a wonderful experience. As a complete beginner in JavaScript, I didn't experience any issues while using it. I also like the automatic version control. I can easily see this being useful in complex projects. You can try them out yourself using the link in the description, since both Webstorm and Rider are now free for non-commercial use. Big thanks to these amazing people who supported me on Patreon, especially Adam Kanzler, Kartoffelbauer 1000, and Wayne Rasmussen. Don't forget to join our Discord server, and be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.